Hey there, welcome to the Christian Media Marketing Show. My name's John. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm going to be recording the final part of a series talking about from your going online to offline. What are some of the things that you need to be doing, thinking through, creating, which was last week's episode, and then this final one this week. And this is perfect timing for me as well. As I'm recording this, I literally just got back to our office, home office, from a week of spending time working, but also in the midst of that work on a remote travel work, I was able to take my wife and to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Not weddings and not marriage, but celebration. And this is the missing component that I think churches miss. And I think in our digital efforts, we need to make sure that we leverage the tools available to us to be able to do this, okay, and to celebrate. And it's important to celebrate, but to not inflate what we're doing. And let me give you some ideas on this of what I think this looks like, what I think maybe some things that you could be doing. But I want to make sure that you understand that I think this is a missing piece to it. Okay, so this is the key thing here. It is a lot like a marriage. It is a lot like a marriage ceremony. When a believer, when a person comes to faith in Jesus, when a person is baptized into Christ, it is very similar to like this wedding ring and this idea of putting on Christ and giving those vows and giving our lives to Christ and to saying in good times and in bad times, I'm with you. And really, in marriage, the Lord is there with us. It is a three-way type of commitment that we should be making there to our spouses, but also to the Lord. And I will tell you, in 30 years, there's been some good times and there's been some hard times. Our first year of marriage, I don't think we made $8,000 total of money. And then we ended up paying like over $1,000 in taxes. It was ridiculous. There's been joys, the birth of all three of my kids, to see those times. There's been hard times. There's been times of frustration. There have been seasons of sickness, my cancer, fighting through that, even seeing my kids help me. As I would do my chemo on Thursdays and Fridays, it usually would hit me the hardest on a Sunday, and they'd have to help me out of a chair. But in those good times, the laughter, the tears, all of those things together, it's important to celebrate. And I'm reminded of the story of the redemptive father, or maybe you might call it the prodigal son. But the key thing there that I want to bring out was when that prodigal son came back, the older brother didn't want to have anything to do with it, but there was a phrase that caught my ear and my eye, and that was the father says to that oldest son who doesn't want to celebrate, doesn't want to go party, that the son is back, his younger brother. The father says, "We have to celebrate. We have to celebrate." And that's one of those things that I think sometimes we fail to do. I think sometimes we go straight to promotion or marketing or whatever else. And maybe you're not like that. Maybe that's just what I've had to work through. But I see so much of what happens in missions is actually trying to hype. Look at what we've done. Look at these numbers. Look at why you should give to us. Look at whatever that might be. And to say that it turns my stomach would actually be an understatement. It so turns me off anymore that we've gone to a world where missions is more about marketing ourselves. And I think at times I think it's a sin. I think we can rob God of his glory. Look at what he is doing. And he just may happen to be using you or me, but he doesn't need us. He can do these things. His spirit is at work. Even when it's digital, it's a spiritual endeavor. And so when we move from online to offline, maybe your numbers aren't something that people are going to write a book about. Maybe organizations are going to say, well, we don't want to give money to this. Maybe people go, well, I think this group over here is doing better or whatever. Maybe. But I know this, that the Bible tells us that the angels in heaven rejoice. They celebrate when one person turns from an eternity in separation from God to a life and eternity in the blessings of God. When a person turns from their own ways and making themselves their Lord to making Jesus the Lord and Savior in their life. When they're united in their love, in their obedience, in their walk in the Spirit and with Jesus. When these things happen, the angels in heaven are rejoicing. They celebrate. And I think this is really important. So, as you move from online to offline, and as you're working with new seekers and new believers, or maybe as you're discipling people, don't forget to stop and to celebrate. They may be little things, but it's important. If you're a parent and your child walked for that very first time, you celebrate it. I think we need to get that mindset back. As we talk about the digital full, all these steps together, it's important for us to celebrate. We don't have to inflate. We don't have to brag about what we're doing or how good something is or whatever. But with the believer, we do need to be celebrating with them. And it's good to share what the Lord is doing. I'm not saying don't do that and share with your prayer partners or whatever. But listen, if you're in missions work, you probably understand if you're out there especially trying to raise support or if you have to somehow prove why you should be keeping your support, the at least temptation to promote and to inflate. And so it's very, very important to us in Kavanaugh, where I say to them, and I have said to them, have integrity, share things, but don't rob God of his glory. Tell the truth, share the stories. But the key thing with that is we're just inviting people to celebrate what the Lord has done. And I think that's really important. So, a couple ways you can do this. Let's say a person's baptism, film it. If at all possible, take out that cell phone and get a recording of it. Maybe it's giving people certificates. It depends on the security posture of where you're at. I get that. But find ways appropriate for your context and in your culture to celebrate with people the most important decision they will ever make in their life. We spend tens of thousands of dollars to celebrate and to have a marriage, to have that marriage ceremony. We a lot of people spend a lot of money. My oldest just got married. He didn't. I love the way he did it, and they'll have ceremonies and whatever else. So there's all sorts of stuff. I get that, but the key here is that we understand celebration when it comes to marriage. Well, let's celebrate when a person who was lost is now found. When a person who was not a believer becomes a believer, a follower of Jesus. When Jesus becomes the Lord and the savior of their lives. So maybe it's recording it, maybe it's getting some reminders in there so that next year, when that date comes around, you can say, hey, just want you to know it's been a year, it's been this period. I think that's really, really important. I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to go out to a church in Colorado and to speak at a Celebrate Recovery event. It was super powerful, and I really was moved and honored to be able to be a part of it and to be the speaker for the event. But one of the things that they do at that is they in the time that they have together is they come forward and they have coins and they celebrate and they say it's been 6 weeks or 6 months or 1 year or as one person who I'm really close to showed me, hey, look here, it's been 8 years, and they showed me their coin. That's powerful. Those are reminders. And all throughout the Old Testament, and I think in the New Testament, there are things there that are meant to be reminders of things to celebrate. The Lord's Supper would be one, taking communion. I don't know about your context, but here's my practice, what I like to do. I love to take and remember what the Lord did for us every week. I see that in the book of Acts that there was this pattern that they were sharing these meals, they were coming together, and on the Lord's they were doing this. I'm not saying that oh, if you don't do it every week that you're wrong, but I think it's such a powerful thing to remember weekly. And I've heard people go, well, if you do it too often, it will lose its significance. Those same people take offerings every week. Don't forget that. So, like, I think it's important that we remember what we're doing with offerings too. So, I don't buy that argument that repetition can mean we lose something. It means that we need to be important about it. If I just say to my wife, "Oh, hey, love you," but I don't really mean it, if I'm just going through the motions, then yeah, there's a problem there. But to really stop, really reflect, really to celebrate, and that the Lord's Supper is one of those. So we try to, in our practice, when we were on the field working, celebrate when someone gets baptized, celebrate during the Lord's Supper, remind people of the covenant relationship, remind people of their groups and of different things that you see. Maybe it's when people start to grow as disciples themselves. Maybe as they are bringing other people in, you're teaching them also to help to celebrate. So it's not something where we have to start bragging about, look at us, look at the numbers, whatever. No, it's very intentional. It's a celebration with your seeker that you're trying to do. So as that online person maybe sees that very first ad, starts that conversation, moves potentially to an offline evangelism, discipleship, leadership development, church formation, all of those things. Don't forget to celebrate. Okay? It's okay to celebrate, just don't inflate. And when you're doing that, when you're celebrating with other people, make sure that what you're celebrating is what the Lord has done. Make Him be the object of our celebration. Okay. So I hope that's just an encouragement, just to kind of wrap up this whole process as we're talking about all the conversations and groups and pre groups and all of these things. Don't forget to just celebrate. Sometimes we can get caught up on the things that are super hard. Sometimes we can forget the things that are the most important. So, in your ministry and in your work, make sure that you take time to pause, to be grateful, and to join the angels in celebrating the spiritual breakthroughs and change that you see happening in the people's lives that hopefully the Lord is using you to make an impact in. All right. Next week we're going to look at some a completely different thing. I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be doing training. So I'm going to record my podcast from overseas during the training of where I'm going there and be sharing some thoughts with you there as well. But if this is a benefit to you, share this whole series with other people. Make sure that you like, subscribe, all those kind of things. I would really appreciate it. But if there are things that you would like for us to be addressing, if there are things that I can just be praying for you about, please reach out and let us know. Until next time, just keep pushing forward. Don't give up. Let the Lord guide you, and may He be blessed as we celebrate all that He is doing through our ministries, through our lives, and through those who He brings in contact with us. Take care, and God bless.